This next section has to do with distressed real estate, and I have to tell you, over the years, especially starting about 2007, we've had a lot of distressed real estate. It mainly came from subprime lending, and all subprime lending simply is where a lot of the lending ratios and requirements were done away with. They did away with verifications of incomes, of jobs, and a number of other things. So it made borrowing really easy. And actually, we call those sometimes Alt-A. A paper is the very best paper that you can get, and what they basically did was alter it. And so when you let down your guards, when you let down all of the things that the lending criteria that you use and start making loans, obviously you're going to have a lot of defaults. And so there for a while we had a lot of distressed real estate in the market. I think most of it has been absorbed. We saw a major change in our market about 2011, where we saw the market turn and all of a sudden prices start to go back up again. As far as the foreclosure process and all of these distressed properties, I think one of the things that we have to remember is that when we start a foreclosure process, the first thing that we're going to do, the first thing that a lender is going to do, is to file a Lis Pendens. And that's putting constructive notice to everyone that a foreclosure has just begun. That borrower that is being foreclosed on, I think that we need to understand, in the state of Florida anyway, has up until the public auction to redeem themselves. We call that the equity of redemption, that time period to be able to redeem themselves from the default and the foreclosure. If there is, when the foreclosure goes down, if there's a shortage, there's going to be a deficiency judgment. But if there's any money left over, that money goes to the property owner. It does not go to the bank. Sometimes when a person gets in a lot of trouble with their debt on their house, instead of going through the foreclosure process, what they simply say is, hey, look, I'm going to give the property back to the bank, a deed in lieu of foreclosure. You eliminate the foreclosure process. It doesn't help your credit any, but you shorten the process. As far as locating distressed real estate, I've got to tell you, there's a lot of it out there, but I've always said that short sales are probably the hardest way to make a living. And if you really want to know where the best asset is to go to REOs, bank-owned properties. They have the best properties available. But I think anytime that you're negotiating with banks, just make sure that you have contract in hand, that you have everything spelled out. If it's a short sale, remember that you're still dealing with the owner of the property. The contract's between the buyer and the seller. The bank simply approves it. Once the bank takes over and it's an REO, then you're going to be negotiating straight up with the bank and whoever that bank REO manager is. Some other important issues as far as REOs are concerned, and let me tell you what that is. An REO is a real estate owned by a bank. And what that basically says is that they've already foreclosed on the property, they've already eliminated any old liens, and it's been reassessed or reappraised. So what we're getting is a property with a new value on it without any of the luggage that you might have with some other properties that have not been foreclosed. And a lot of people will tell you that buying REO properties, banks are willing to negotiate. In fact, banks are even willing to do some financing for you. So if you're going to do them, that's where I would look. You can also do tax certificates, and that is anytime that somebody doesn't pay their real property taxes, a tax certificate sale is going to take place. You can get in on that if you like, and typically what happens is your tax bill comes out November 1st. If you don't have it paid by April 1st the following year, you're delinquent. June, there's going to be a tax certificate auction, and what they're basically saying is that they're looking for somebody to pay the taxes for you. And that bidding is going to start at 18% and work down. If you want to participate in this, if you want to participate in the bidding, you're going to have to contact the clerk of courts in that county that it's located, and you're probably going to have to come up with a 10% deposit, put it in their account of what you believe that your bid is going to be on that property. That tax certificate, if you're the successful buyer of it, there's nothing that you can do for 2 years. You've got to hold that tax certificate. And hopefully that person is going to come back and buy that tax certificate back plus the interest earned. If they don't, at the end of the second year, you can ask for a tax deed. And what that'll do is send the property into a foreclosure. and whoever buys it's going to pay for the taxes plus interest. So you're going to get your money back one way or the other. But let me caution you, don't hold that tax certificate for more than 7 years, because if you do, it expires. And that is all we have for distressed real estate. So what I want to do now is just review with you quickly those important issues that you need to know. Subprime lending provides loan approval without verification of loan information. Constructive notice defines lien priority except for superior liens. Remember that liens will stack up in terms of when they were recorded on public record. A Lis Pendens is the first legal step in a foreclosure process. The equity of redemption is the time period a person has to redeem themselves from a foreclosure at a public auction. Any shortage can create a deficiency judgment. An overage goes to the property owner. A deed in lieu of foreclosure gives title to the note holder in lieu of a foreclosure. A written contract is between the buyer and the seller in a short sale, then the lender will simply approve it. The safest way to buy distressed real estate is buying bank REOs. In a tax certificate sale, the bidding person must deposit 10% of the estimated bid with the clerk of courts. A tax certificate must be held for at least 2 years before taking an action, but will expire after the 7th year. And that's all we have for that chapter.